Hello guys, I'm your humble host, Young Sika, here on another episode of Sip to the Script. I have a very important guest in the house today, someone that's been holding down things in the back, in the backstage very quietly, not saying too much, but putting in a lot of work in and outside of the stage. So please, could you introduce yourself, please?
Jeez. Yo, my name is Kazi Gallardo, Stevie Kazi, whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, for sure. And before we jump in this interview, you definitely... Man, I'm tired of drinking with rappers, bro.
Don't do that to me.
Too much Henny, bro.
You're borderline alcoholic, and now you're telling me you don't want to drink alcohol anymore? Stop that.
So, bro, please introduce your drink.
Man, I was supposed to come with green tea today.
I didn't believe it when I heard it.
One thing led to another, and I brought some Henny on board, for my mans. Just this is a toast to celebration for, some... a lot of work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but more to come.
Secret exclusive.
And this is also a small brand placement because Henny Dance is out right now.
Jeez!
Spotify,
talking about
iTunes,
Henny Dance, putting a couple numbers on the scoreboard,
We're doing all right. Now on Eemedia, make sure you go check it out.
Definitely.
And bro, it was just one of those things where I got the beat and like the title of the song matched the beat. You know what I mean? Like if you go right now on YouTube and you write Henny Dance type beat, you might even find that beat.
No, definitely.
So it's one of those beats where like when it's so crazy where you have to like respect the producer. Like you don't want to alter what where his mind frame was at.
No, definitely.
You want to put respect on that. So
and to me that's a funny thing because what I've realized with the movement that we've been a part of, I feel like when a lot of when music is small but still catching up on a lot of eyes, what's weird to me is that on the mainstream level of things, however you want to consider mainstream in Canada, I feel like a lot of it gets picked up by bigger artists. I've seen a lot of music title, follow the wave, a bit like that. So
it's funny because there's a pattern of like not even just titles of names, but like you said, titles of names are like vibes, you know what I mean? And then like you'll see someone small or local do it, and then for some reason it just happens that like the mainstream media kind of picks up on it, the mainstream industry kind of picks up on it, and
but that goes to be a testament to the amount of work you've been putting in.
For sure. The crazy part about it is you never really know, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's a question mark. Like, is it?
Because they're never gonna hit you up like, yo, can
I? I saw it, so I thought I'd pick it up.
No, definitely. Yeah. So, jumping into this interview, bro, I kind of, what I mean. Personally, you and I, we've known each other for a very long time. There's a lot of things that are left unsaid that during the interview we're going to jump into a bit more because you definitely, without people knowing, you definitely did a lot for me personally, I could say.
Sure.
So, but how was your upbringing? You're from the South, right?
Yeah. I was, I'm not born in Canada, so I'm born abroad.
Oh.
And,
she is foreign.
Foreign. And then I had family in Toronto, so we went there for a bit. Then we settled down in Ottawa. And as soon as I touched down, I think like within a couple of months, I ended up living in the South. And I stayed in the South for, as long as I can remember. I'm still in the South. So over there, like there's definitely there's a fluctuation of different types of ethnicities. For the most part, like you'll have your Africans, you'll have your Caribbean, you'll have your Arabs, you know what I mean? I think that the South though is more notoriously known for having a lot of like Arabs, and though the slangs and the culture kind of
very Toronto like. I feel like very Toronto like.
You become integrated very fast, and like the slang and things of that nature you kind of pick up on. So for the most part, like we'd be out, just playing ball. We play soccer, we play sports as children, you know what I mean? And we were very big into music. We got into music. We listened to any artist you could really think of, you know what I mean? I can't remember exactly when I really got into like serious music, but as long as I can remember, I've always listened to any artist.
No, I remember growing up, you were definitely one of those artists that were like big on like Big Sean and Drake and Party Next Door. You're actually a person I'd say that in terms of the music industry, you were the one that really put me on to the things that Toronto and even Ottawa were doing very early on. I even remember when I started first, checking out the Ottawa scene and stuff like that. You were the first person that I could tell close to me that started making music very seriously. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like a bit of that route when. From you just, growing up in the South to making music, you know what I mean? I feel like there's a long journey to it. So you went to university too, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, for the most part, like, we somewhat knew each other, like, in high school. But I think we really became closer, going into first year, university and kind of having a wide circle of friends and kind of all collectively, like, getting together. But for the music thing, like, honestly, like, doing music or rapping in general is something that I've always done. Like, I never really spoke about it, but I would write music, like, I would write verses on my phone. I ask any of my friends, like, they'll tell you, like, for as long as I can remember, like, taking a beat, doing a freestyle, you know what I mean? I don't know how many freestyle, like, sessions we've been in, or, like, ciphers, you know what I mean? But when I decided to really take it seriously was when, I think you could remember this specifically, but there was a time where, like, we went to Toronto. We were headed to All-Star Weekend. Toronto. All-Star Weekend in Toronto, let me tell you, one of the coldest weekends I've actually experienced in Canada in general. You know what I mean? But, man, it was heating up everywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
I actually do remember that period of time. And I think that it's important for you to be able to kind of speak to that testimony. Because there's a lot of people, they'll start making music just because... they like making music and stuff like that. But I feel like our encounter with what we were going to do for the city was so much...
organic.
Yeah, so organic and so much bigger than just ourselves. You know what I mean? I remember, coming back from that trip, I feel like really that's when everything changed. You know what I mean?
For
so
sure.
talk a bit about that trip.
For sure. I mean, for the most part, like, I remember we were in the car and we were headed to Toronto. I don't know if... we were headed to Toronto, And, man, we were just talking about that weekend and how crazy it was going to be, the entertainers that were going to be in the city, the artists. And then we kind of dived into, like, how these guys, like, basically pursue their passion, pursue their dreams and kind of, self-proclaim, like, everything that they want to do and they end up doing it, and look where they're at. So I kind of looked at you and I was like, yo, bro, if you had something that you wanted to do, seriously and actually pursue it, what would you want to do? And you told me, you're like, yo, I'd like to have some type of, like, interview show, like some type of radio show where I kind of bring people on, you know what I mean, and talk about what they do and give them a platform to speak. And I kind of held on to that. Like, I remember, like, when you said, I'm like, yo, man, that's dope. Like, that's definitely something you should do. And I was asking you that question because in the back of my mind, I was like, man, like, obviously music is something that I've always, like, played around with, and I've always, like, did it for fun, but it's never something dibble and dabble, exactly. It's never something that I kind of
seriously pursued,
decided to full force actually dedicate myself to, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of not just writing the song, but also, like, doing videos, you know what I mean, doing shows, you know what I mean, networking with people who are kind of in the same, like, industry, who are trying to do something similar, you know what I mean? So I think that was kind of the starting point. Like, coming back, we had a crazy experience in Toronto, and I think we just set our minds to it, like, yo, you know what, like, fuck, you know what I mean? Why not? Let's do it, you know?
And just that experience itself, you know what I mean, to kind of go after everything you've ever wanted. I remember myself when I had that, that encounter with myself. I remember I must have been like 21, right? And I just sat down, figured that school was maybe an option. But it's maybe not what I want to pursue for the rest of my life. And it's that moment where everything just hits you full force at the same time. It's like, yo, my parents are immigrants. They're doing great earning for themselves, but it's like, I want to be able to give them back as much as they've given to me, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So talk a bit about, like, your relationship with your parents. I know that a couple years back you went through something.
I mean, the thing is, like, especially when you do have immigrant parents, like, there's a certain sense of, like, it's a bit conflicting sometimes because I'm sure, like they always want the best for you, you know what I mean? And when you come to a country like, Canada, that has a lot of opportunities, sometimes the biggest opportunity is security. You know what I mean? Knowing you're well off, knowing you have something.
Especially when you have kids in the mix too.
Definitely,
for sure.
You know what I mean? So when that happens, like, the avenues are very limited, so I think that a lot of the times when they give you, recommendations, or they try to lead you to a certain path, they're just looking at it. I don't think it's one-sided, but they're looking at it in the sense where like, yo, we want you to be secure, we want you to be okay, which is why they push for things like school, which is why they push for things like a career and you know, public works, or even you know what I mean, just
especially in Ottawa, yeah,
for sure. So I always looked at school as like a tool or a resource, you know, like I just graduated, like I finished school, you're finishing school, you know what I mean? So I always looked at it more of a tool or a resource that you can utilize to, you know, turn your dreams into fruition, you know? So like I decided to go into business, but like it's not that I was going to finish in business and kind of just go do it like, you know, an office job. Like, that's not the end goal for me, you know. I want to use all those knowledge and everything that I've learned within the last couple of years, even the network. Like school's not even about just books, you know what I mean? Like building a connection, the fact that you and I linked up, you know what I mean? The fact that we have a whole circle, we have a whole movement, and like these are people that we really like got close to within the university years. There's a lot of opportunities to kind of utilize everything around you and kind of do what you think that is best for you.
So the same way I was telling you about, you know, my 21st birthday and realizing that, you know what, there's not an end-all and be-all in school. It could be your end-all and be-all, and respect to the people that can actually do that, but I just felt like I needed to go further than just that.
For sure.
When was your awakening with that type of reality?
I think, like, if you're asking me, like, the question, like, when did I have an epiphany where it was like, man, I need to try this at this point or not? I had a situation like a family situation that basically, you know, losing a close one is very it's very hard, right? And it strikes you in the sense where you kind of, you know, realize that life is short, you know, like in the, not only in the saying, but like realistically speaking, like you know, you could wake up tomorrow and, you know, nothing was the same,
right? So
I think for me that was kind of the lightning bolt, or like the light bulb for me, where I was like, yo, you know what, like I have nothing to lose. And as soon as that happened, like I kind of put my mind, I set myself a goal where it was like I need to put myself in a mind frame where anything that I do I can't lose unless I try it. You know what I mean? So and that was kind of where it was at.
No, and I definitely believe that in that case, whoever it was that you know lost, has no choice but to look down upon you and be like, yo, you know what, be proud that you know took that extra step. For sure.
I mean, I'm a big believer. Like you know, I'm a God believing, you know, child. So for me, like everything when it comes to like having, you know, people looking down on me and just, you know, protecting me and leading me towards the you know, a path that I deserve to go to, consciously or unconsciously, like I have a strong faith, you know what I mean? So wherever I end up, I know that, you know, it's gonna be what I deserve, and it's gonna be, you know, righteous. So I just try to pursue at least what feels right within, you know. So at this moment, it's always like when I look back within the last couple of years, and when I look back as like all the way to my childhood, like to me, what we're doing right now is what I was meant to do, you know. So I'm gonna go to the fullest until I feel like I've either had enough or we make it, you know. So that's all it is, you know? It's one or the other, you know.
Let's you know, change a bit the energy of the energy.
For sure. Switch the momentum.
Let's
up,
jump a bit into what, you know, you said you were meant for.
Yeah. Henny dance out now. One more plug. You know?
So, what do people actually know you for, and what you actually put, you know, in terms of work behind scenes, are two very different things. You know, could you kind of shed light on that? Yeah, for sure.
I mean, for the most part, like as we were talking right now before, I did music for at least like a year, and actually like a couple of months. I only dropped like I think 4 or 5 songs. I dropped like a couple freestyles, and then after that I dropped like a small EP, like 4 songs, and it did well. Like I got a couple thousand clicks on SoundCloud. But it wasn't
before it was starting to pay.
Yeah, it was, bro. I didn't even know it, bro. You couldn't even stream Spotify and Apple Music. None of that stuff was there, you know. So it did pretty well, but I still I felt like there was still more, you know. And I was just, this is where like the business kid comes in, you know. I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, everyone's dropping like their SoundCloud links on Twitter, Instagram, yo, click my bio, all that stuff, you know what I mean? Like there's a saturation in the market, like it doesn't make sense. So I was like, man, like, we need some type of platform in the city, man. We need something to kind of like, you know, be the stepping stone for everyone who's kind of trying to do the same thing, you know? And that's kind of how like Eemedia started. You know what I mean? That's kind of how the idea of a media platform for artists by artists or by creators started. So the idea was basically to promote and distribute as much content as possible that had to do with, you know, local, you know, that was orientated towards locals. So that's kind of just to answer your question. Like, for the most part, people probably know me mostly for the music stuff, the music videos I have on Eemedia, or just like my music on Spotify, Apple, stuff like that. But in the background, like, we've been cultivating this movement for a year, like 1 year plus. You know what I mean? Yeah. From like the conceptualization to the idea to the logo to you know, the previews, the Instagram page, the coverages, content, the sip to the scripts, the music videos, the EE coverages, all that stuff. You know, I was always in the background, just kind of like, you know, cultivating it and building it to a stage where, you know, we all as a collective felt comfortable to kind of, you know, put it forward and also put other people that aren't within our own circle forward on the platform.
Right.
You know?
And what I like about this interview is that a lot of people that are gonna, you know, click the link in our bio, like you said, right? They're gonna click the link in the bio, but not really be sure what we're about.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it was important for you to kind of come through and shed light on that, because I feel like a lot of people just, they see the interviews, they see the music videos, they see the coverage, but like put all together, it's like, what is this?
For sure. For the most part, like, I think people kind of have an idea of what Eemedia is supposed to be, in terms of just like being a media platform, but I don't think they actually.
Wow, the Henny got me
you know, no chase on this too. You know? Got some EE mugs, by the way. You know, by the way. So for the most part, I think just to explain it as clear as possible, what we're building and what we're looking to build and what has already started is a channel. Right. It's a channel for various types of content, and the biggest like. The thing that surrounds it the most is music and entertainment. Right. Anything that has to do with music and entertainment is on our channel. Right. So the Sip to the Script is one of the divisions of Eemedia. So Sip to the Script is supposed to be an interview platform, as you've been doing, where you bring, you know, people who are kind of in the mix story or doing creative things in the city, and, you know, give them a platform to speak about it. And then we have the EE coverages. The EE coverages are supposed to be, you know, our physical presence at these creators events, you know what I mean? The shows, the performances, you know, the events, like catering, all that stuff. Like, we've done, man, I can think of, like, from the moment we've started doing like Ottawa Glow Fair, we did Blues Fest, we did Ray Schwimmer, we did Nestle, we did Killy,
Drip Trails,
you know, the Drip Trails events, you know, a segment of its own, which is supposed to be like, you know, a physical presence of, you know, your brand and the clothing brand, you know what I mean? Just being able to capture that and captivate that, you know, and have that be displayed online. You know? That's something that we've always wanted to do. Once again, the third segment right now is music videos that we're doing. So music videos is supposed to be
got off with a boom too,
boy, it took off.
All that Amber.
Yo, honestly, like, when we first did it, like, it was supposed to be just an idea, and obviously, like, I think whether we wanted to or didn't want to, like, it was gonna tie in together, because at some point, you know, people in the collective in Eemedia who do music are gonna end up doing music videos, but we also do production. We're content creators, you know. So why not put them, you know, together? So the first one was Amber, and Amber, you know, did crazy. We didn't expect it to do like almost 6,000, but it's at something like that on YouTube. And then we followed up. We did videos for other artists like AM, who's a creative director.
And my question to you, right?
Squad.
My question to you, right? So I look at the whole perspective. I look at, you know, you being the artist and you being the executive, you know, at a company. You know what I mean? That both are doing very well, right? But there's gonna come a point, and that's just from my understanding of how the game works. You know what I mean? Where both of them might feel a bit like like a lot to handle. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't think that you've encountered that problem yet. And I don't think that it has to be a problem. But you know, being in that position are definitely you know, in the hot seat,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
how do you
definitely.
feel like, you know, once it comes to a position where you're gonna have to handle both and put them at the same level of pedestal?
To be honest with you, like the way I look at it is like this. Music is a passion, and it's a driving force in me. But music is something I don't ever feel. I don't ever want to feel forced to do. It's always something that I do when I'm in the mood to do it, and like whether I'm inspired or something like catches my eye, or you know what I mean. I'm in that mood. I'm in that zone. I'm gonna do it.
Right.
So I never want that to be the determinant factor for my survival. Right. So. I'm always going to do music at my liking and at my pace. In terms of the Eemedia, the platform and the business, this is something that's bigger than all of us. You know what I mean? And I want this to carry on after we're not here.
Right.
That's the kind of the vision, right?
Right.
So for that, I think that like I'm always gonna make sure that like Eemedia as the platform is at the forefront. You know what I mean? Because this is something that's going to not only it's bigger than all of us in the sense that like it's gonna help more than just you and I.
Right.
You know what I mean? And everyone else around us. So that's kind of how I look at it. Like music is never gonna be something that I'm forced to do, and I don't want to feel like, you know, I have to do it for my survival. Because I mean, even though there's definitely still money in music, like music isn't really like. Man, I've studied music for such a long time, and I've seen the trajectory of like how it goes from like CDs selling, you know what
Especially
I mean?
in Canada.
Best Buy, the HMV era disappearing to things going into streaming and platforms, you know, artists making 10 cents for every, you know, $1.99 that they're selling on iTunes. So like I know that the money isn't really in the sale of music,
But
more
about
than it
everything
is
you
in the
bring
merchandise, more than it is in the touring, more than it is in the branding. And that's how I kind of look at it. Like, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I definitely did. It's needed because I feel like a lot of people that jump into this music stuff, you know what I mean, kind of see it as, again, as some people going to school, like an end all be all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a good thing that someone that's actually in the mix, not only on the executive part, but also as an artist part, kind of bring everything together full circle for people to
for sure. And I mean, like, some people I think have the mentality of like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go full force in this. I'm going to go 100%. I'm focused on this. I'm only going to do this. And this is what's going to lead me to succeeding. And I truly believe, like, if you have that mentality and obviously you put in the work and, you know, you have some type of, you know what I mean, show for your how do I say this? Show for your work. Like, you know what I mean? People find your content and your music good. You could definitely make it. You know what I mean? At the same time, though, like, man, think about, like, especially in our genre, when it comes to hip-hop, right? There are certain people like Jay-Z who are 45, 50 plus that are still doing, you know, hip-hop music, but even his content changed, right?
Right.
So think about and I'm not sending, like, shots to anyone, but think about, like, the Uzis and the Gunnas, and not Gunna, actually, no, the Uzis, the Thuggas, give me the Lil Xans, and you know what I mean? Those types of
Narco and
those guys, like, imagine when they turn 35, 40, 45 plus. Do you think that these guys are still going to be, like, rapping about all my friends are dead, push me to the eds, you know, Zanny in my bag, or, you know what I mean?
I mean, if they do, I mean, I don't see Jay-Z, Kanye doing that.
No, and that's just to say that, like, you know, we're always growing, you know what I mean? And I think that, like, when people grow, I think they grow with their passion, but it might display in different manners.
Right.
So I'm not like, people don't always have to be like doing the same thing. That's kind of how I look at it. You know?
Yeah. And to kind of clear off that aspect of the interview, I think it was very informative and needed for people to kind of get that other part of who you were.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's get back to the music, right?
For sure.
So I heard, you know, through the grapevines that a tape was coming soon.
Oh, you listen now. Secret exclusive, you know. For the most part, like, I am working on a tape right now.
Okay.
I have, like, to be honest with you, I have like 5 songs like ready to go. Like, the only thing I'm waiting for is kind of grasping, you know, the way, like, the idea of what this tape is supposed to be, because I'm just making how I'm gonna brand it and kind of like what I want people to get out of it, take from it, you know what I mean? Because I have a bunch of songs, but you know, I've never really done a project. Like, I've dropped a lot of singles, and I did like 4 songs as an EP. But I feel like when you say you're dropping a project, you want people to like collectively have an idea of what this is supposed to be. You know what I mean? So if you want me to give a date or something, which I think is what you're asking for.
Am I?
I can't give a date. What I can say is, man, I am a child of the fall.
Right.
And that's all I'm gonna say.
Ovio.
Yeah, listen. It gets cold, and I need to heat up the streets.
No,
so,
definitely.
That's all I'm gonna say.
And I feel like, you know, I can kind of tell your influences when you start rapping. You know what I mean? But what would you say that some of your influences are, just so people can get like grasp that from you, you know?
Bro, honestly, like, I'm gonna go into like an abundance of names, like from Big L to Big Sean to from Jay-Z to Gunna, from Young Thug to Nas. Like, yo, I flip everywhere. Big L, you know what I mean? Big Pun, Fat Joe. Like, I can go 50 Cent, you know what I mean? Drake, obviously, you know, Wayne, obviously, you know what I mean? Man, there's so many to me. Like, I've really took the time to like study rap, like in a way where like I went back all the way back, and I fast forward, you know, and
which I feel like that's what's kind of lacking in the game right now, and you know, the beats on which you rap, but also the content matter that you bring to the music. I really feel like it was well thought out.
I feel like people know me, like, at least for now, for a lot of melodic vibes, and that just comes from like me listening to R&B. I always listen to R&B. I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson, Prince, people of that nature. So like, I still have a melodic sense to it, but there are going to be times where I'm just straight rapping. You know what I mean? Like, just dropping bars.
And we need that. You're lucky I'm not making you freestyle today.
Yo, listen, I might have to drop the quick verse. Yo, I can exit with a verse if you want me to. Yo, listen, Kevin, I'm in secret. Yo, listen, I knew you were gonna hit me with probably like a quick bar, so yo, I could drop something for these guys if they need it. You know? All right. Problem.
And just, you know, in terms of the scene that's happening right now, I definitely know the type of work that you're putting in right now, so I can definitely see you as one of the forefronter.
For sure.
But for the people that don't really know you, and for people that don't really know the type of circles you're around, you know what I mean? Who do you think in this scene, you know what I mean? What do you think of this scene that's actually building right now in Ottawa?
Ottawa is a beautiful scene at the moment, because in terms of like not just artistry, but like people who are putting in like creative time, man, people are hungry, you know what I mean? So I have to give a shout out to so many people, because at least in the South End, people like Dodo, people like After Party, Leah Cloud.
Of course, the stuff sticks together.
You know, shout out to people in the East, Chanks, you know what I mean? People who are outside of the city who rep the city, Sean Bay, you know what I mean? OMC. Man, there's so many people that we've worked with that I feel like are very talented, and people that I would like to work with as well in the future that are just putting in time and effort. So I have no choice but to salute to them, because those are the type of people those are the counterparts that I look up to for motivation. You know, I look at them and we're in the same scenery, and I'm like, man, just keep on going. You know, we're gonna burst that bubble. You know what I mean?
No, definitely.
And I have to even give a shout out to people like in our own circle. You know, the Shafiqs and the AMs. You know what I mean? Like, people are really putting in that time, and they're showing dedication to their craft. You know? Like, you putting in time and effort. You know, every day showing up on camera. You know what I mean? Picking up times, picking up artists, going on their music, listening to them, learning the craft of the Ottawa music scene, developing your own craft. You know, that's something that people have to salute you for. You know what I mean? Because we didn't just wake up one day and decide to do this. You know what I mean? We've really taken the time to kind of develop. You know,
years in the making.
Not even years, but like more like, you know, serious months. Like, we did it in such a short amount of time, but we took it very seriously, very fast. And like, man, we were doing like 24-hour schedules, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think people always see that on the outside. So like, I have to give a shout out to, you know, obviously you and our team, like the Eemedia team, and people, the affiliates as well, because they put us in a great place.
In a lot of work, Man, I want to shut you up really for coming through on the show.
Nah, bro,
this is definitely not the last time.
It's been a long time coming. I definitely want to come back. Hopefully the next time I come back, you know, there's an artist here. I want to be like,
we gonna bring that back too.
Low-key like a co-host, ask my questions. You know, I want to ask a couple questions. And man, there's more content coming on Eemedia, more coverages. You know, this year is a big year for Ottawa in terms of big lineups. You know what I mean? So make sure you check out the YouTube channel for, you know, EE coverages, more music videos for different artists. We're working with a big group called, obviously you guys know them, LJ and the whole group, The Cave. We're working with people with Jay Chinaz. And just a bunch of other artists who want to do music videos. We're doing more Sip to the Scripts, obviously, and I want to give a shout out to any content creator in the city, you know what I mean, who wants to come through and you know, join the movement, you know what I mean. If you're a content creator and you have ideas and you want to kind of put it to the forefront and you want to be that figure for you and your idea, man, come through. You know, Eemedia is always accommodating, and we want to put you out there, you know.
Appreciate that, my G.
Why not, you know?
It's another interview.
It's done.
Peace
It's
out.
done. It's done, you know?